When your best operations manager sat across from you and quit, they probably told you it was the money, maybe the commute, maybe a better opportunity, and you believe them. Because that version lets everyone leave politely without burning bridges. But let me tell you what they told me. A few weeks before that resignation conversation ever happened, they were already on the phone with someone like me. And people tell recruiters things they would never say to leadership. The money usually had very little to do with it. That was just the cover story. The real reasons are much quieter, more personal, and most leaders completely miss them until it's too late. So today, I'm going to walk you through the 3 real reasons your best people leave, and not one of them is about compensation. By the end of this episode, you'll probably recognize at least one happening inside of your operation right now. And the hardest part? None of these problems show up overnight. They build slowly over months while everyone's busy hitting production numbers, managing headcount, and putting out fires. I'm Renee Fry, founder of Talent Q, and this is Building Your High-Performing Team, where we help manufacturing and distribution leaders hire smarter, reduce turnover, and build teams that actually last. If you want practical leadership and hiring strategies that help you retain top talent and build stronger operations, hit subscribe. We drop new episodes every single week. Now, here's the truth about exit interviews, if you even do them. Most operations are moving so fast there's barely time to backfill the role, let alone sit down for a thoughtful exit conversation. And even when exit interviews happen, they're usually the least honest conversation in the building. By the time someone is sitting in the chair giving notice, everyone has already silently agreed to keep things professional and cordial. You ask them, "Why are you leaving?" They give you a safe answer. You write it down, and both sides move on. But even if what they told you was partially true, it really doesn't matter anymore, because by then it's too late to fix it. The real reason people leave comes back to usually 2 things that you can actually control: how they felt and how much freedom they had to do great work. Neither of those shows up in a resignation letter. The only place it gets said out loud is in calls that you're not a part of. And those are the conversations my team is having every single day. So I'm not going to teach you how to read an exit interview better. That's a waste of your time. I'm going to give you the 3 things we hear over and over again in recruiting conversations, along with the early warning signs for each one so you can catch it while there's still time to fix it. Reason number 1, the authority gap. You hired this person because they were supposed to improve the operation. And for the first 90 days, they're exactly what you hoped for. They moved fast, solved problems, brought ideas, took ownership. Then somewhere around month 4 or 5, something started changing. You started noticing they're checking in with you on decisions they used to make on their own. A vendor change, a shift adjustment, a process improvement. Small things at first. And you assume they're being cautious. And honestly, part of you probably likes being kept in the loop, right? But the version I hear is completely different. They came in excited to make an impact and keep running into walls every time they try to improve something that actually mattered. The ideas keep dying in leadership meetings. So eventually, they stop surfacing them. And by the time they're talking with my team, they've already mentally checked out. Now they're just waiting to have the right offer show up so they can quit. And the warning sign is almost always the same. A leader who used to bring ideas starts asking for permission instead. When your strongest people suddenly go quiet, most leaders assume they've settled in, become more compliant. What's actually happening is they've stopped believing that their voice matters. Run this one on yourself first. How often do you require updates, approvals, sign-offs on decisions you originally hired this person to own? Then look around the structure around them. How many approvals sit between your leader and a decision that should already belong to them? Because every unnecessary sign-off slowly teaches your best people to stop trying and stop trying to make a difference. Reason number 2, the unsupported leader. At some point, a decision gets made. Maybe it came from corporate. Maybe it happened in a leadership meeting. Maybe it came from you or your peers. Either way, your manager wasn't part of that conversation, but they were the one expected to carry it out to their team. And when their team pushed back, they were the one standing there absorbing all of it. You know what I hear about this situation all the time? There's usually one specific moment they remember clearly. One meeting, one shift, one conversation, a moment where they stood in front of their own team defending a decision they didn't make and may not have even agreed with. And while they were taking the heat, leadership was nowhere to be found. Those moments, things change. Not overnight, not dramatically, but internally, trust breaks down. Because long before they ever accepted another offer, many of them had already emotionally disconnected right there on the floor. The moment they realized they were expected to carry the weight of leadership decisions without leadership standing beside them. The warning sign here is subtle. It's the leader who used to defend the company and now just shrugs and says, came from upstairs. That shrug matters more than most leaders realize, because that's the moment they've emotionally stepped out of the fight. Now, run this one on yourself. When's the last time you stood in front of your team and put your own name on a hard decision so they didn't have to carry it alone? And then look at your facility. Does your team actually understand which decisions belong to their manager and which ones came from far above or corporate? Because if your leaders are constantly taking the heat for decisions they never had a voice in, eventually they stop feeling like leaders altogether. And people won't stay in leadership roles very long when they feel powerless. Now, before I give you the third reason, I'll warn you, this is the one that fools the leaders the most, because it's the only time the person leaving comes close to telling you the truth. So stay with me. Reason number 3, the ceiling problem. And this one's dangerous because it's super sneaky quiet. Your best person doesn't complain. They show up, the numbers look good, you don't have to manage them, they're self-starter, you barely even worry about them anymore. They're the most stable person on your team. And that's exactly why they're often the one you lose without ever seeing it coming. What they tell my team is this: no one's talked to them about where they're headed in the next 2 years in their career. The job got comfortable, and then suddenly, quietly, it got too small. They've outgrown the role long before anyone noticed, sometimes even before they noticed themselves. Then, when their phone rings and when a recruiter calls with a bigger opportunity, more responsibility, more scope, more growth, more money attached to it, they're not even angry with you. They just suddenly realize there's nothing left to reach for where they're at. And the warning sign for this one is brutal, because it looks like good news. Your strongest person becoming calm, quiet, and steady often gets mistaken for loyalty or contentment. And a lot of the time, it's actually someone who already mentally checked out and is simply being professional about it. So run this one on yourself. When's the last time you sat down with your strongest leader and asked them, where do you want to be in your career 2 years from now? And more importantly, did you actually listen to the answer? Then look at your entire operations. Is there truly somewhere for your best people to grow? Because if the honest answer is no, every recruiter who calls them is offering something you can't compete with, a future. So here's where I'll leave you. This might be uncomfortable to hear. The exit interview is probably the one conversation in your entire facility where everyone quietly agrees to soften the truth a little so nobody leaves feeling bad. And yet most companies build their entire retention strategy around it. Your best people are rarely going to hand you the real reason they're leaving on the way out. They have nothing to gain from doing that. The only place those conversations usually happen honestly is behind closed doors with someone they don't work for anymore, someone like me, which means your real opportunity to retain them happens months earlier, back when your stronger leader got quiet, when they stopped pushing, when they stopped bringing ideas, when they stopped talking about the future. And you told yourself things had finally settled down. So I want to hear from you. Think about the last phenomenal person that you lost, that they quit. What reason did they give you? Why did they resign? And if you're being completely honest, did you fully believe what they said? I'd love for you to drop it in the comments because I think a lot of leaders are realizing the same thing. The real reason people leave usually starts long before the resignation letter ever shows up. And look, these are the exact conversations my team and I are having every single day inside manufacturing and distribution organizations across the country. If you ever want an outside perspective on what your people might not be saying out loud, that's what we do every day at Talent Q. And if this episode helped you think differently about retention and leadership, hit subscribe because we drop new episodes every week to help you build stronger teams with people that actually want to stay on. Until next week, cheers.